Distilled water is water that has many of its impurities removed through distillation. Distillation involves boiling the water and then condensing the steam into a clean container. History: drinking water has been distilled from seawater since at least circa 200 AD, when the process was clearly described by Alexander of Aphrodisias. Its history predates this, as a passage in Aristotle's Meteorological refers to the distillation of water. Captain Israel Williams of the Friendship improvised a way to distill water, which he described in his journal. Applications: in chemical and biological laboratories, as well as industry, cheaper alternatives such as deionized water are preferred over distilled water. However, if these alternatives are not sufficiently pure, distilled water is used. Where exceptionally high purity water is required, double distilled water is used. Distilled water is also commonly used to top off lead-acid batteries used in cars and trucks. The presence of other ions commonly found in tap water will cause a drastic reduction in an automobile's battery lifespan. Distilled water is preferable to tap water for use in automotive cooling systems. The minerals and ions typically found in tap water can be corrosive to internal engine components, and can cause a more rapid depletion of the anti-corrosion additives found in most antifreeze formulations. Distilled water is also preferable to tap water for use in model steam engine boilers and model engines of other types. Mineral buildup resulting from the use of tap water in model boilers can severely reduce the efficiency of the boilers if run for long periods. This buildup is known as boiler scale. Some people use distilled water for household aquariums because it lacks the chemicals found in tap water supplies. It is important to supplement distilled water when using it for fish keeping. It is too pure to sustain proper chemistry to support an aquarium ecosystem. Distilled water is also an essential component for use in cigar humidors. Mineral buildup resulting from the use of tap water will reduce the effectiveness of the humidor. In addition, some home brewers, who are interested in brewing a traditional European Pilsner, will dilute their hard water with distilled water so as to mimic the soft waters of Pilsen. Another application is to increase the density of the air to assist early airplane jet engines during takeoff in hot and high atmospheric conditions, as was used on the early Boeing 707. Distilled water is also used in constant positive airway pressure machines. These machines are used by people with sleep apnea to help breathing throughout sleep cycles. The water evaporates and is used to humidify the air going into the user's nasal cavity, mouth, and throat. Distilled water will not leave any contaminants behind when the humidifier in the CPAP machine evaporates the water. Use in steam irons: although possibly once the recommended procedure, using distilled water and steam irons for pressing clothes, now most manufacturers say that distilled water is not only no longer necessary in their irons, but can actually result in malfunction, including spitting and leaking during use. This may occur due to the lack of impurities in distilled water, which can heat beyond the normal boiling point, rather than nucleating around dissolved impurities at the normal boiling point and producing the necessary steam when it hits the sol plate. It has been suggested that this superheated water in an iron will flash boil when disturbed, and cause the iron to spit, leak, and possibly scald the user. Equipment to distill water. Up until World War II, distilling seawater to fresh water was time-consuming and expensive in fuel. The saying was, "It takes 1 gallon of fuel to make 1 gallon of fresh water." Shortly before the war, Dr. A.V. Kleinschmidt developed the compression still, that became known as the Kleinschmidt still, for extracting fresh water from seawater or contaminated water. By compressing the steam produced by boiling water, 175 gallons of fresh water could be extracted from seawater for every gallon of fuel used. During World War II this unit became standard on Allied ships and on trailer mounts for armies. This method was in widespread use for ships and portable water distilling units during the latter half of the century. Modern vessels now use flash-type evaporators to boil seawater, heating the water to between 70–80 degrees Celsius and evaporating the water in a vacuum. This is then collected as condensation before being stored. Solar stills can be relatively simple to design and build, with very cheap materials. Drinking distilled water. Bottled distilled water can usually be found in supermarkets or pharmacies, and home water distillers are available as well. Water purification, such as distillation, is especially important in regions where water resources or tap water is not suitable for ingesting without boiling or chemical treatment. Municipal water supplies almost always contain trace components at levels, which are regulated to be safe for consumption. Some other components such as trace levels of aluminium may result from the treatment process. Fluoride and other ions are not removed through conventional water filter treatments. However, distillation eliminates most impurities. Distilled water is also used for drinking water in arid seaside areas lacking sufficient freshwater, via desalination of seawater. Health concerns. It was observed that consumption of hard water, or water containing dissolved solids, is associated with possible cardiovascular effects. As noted in the American Journal of Epidemiology, consumption of hard drinking water is negatively correlated with atherosclerotic heart disease. See also, atmospheric water generators are used to make distilled water from air. Deionized water, desalination, heavy water, purified water, references.